episode 106 of BigRedBarel Geek Speak, a place for all your nerdy needs on BigRedBarel.com. My name is Alex, I'm a self-appointed baroness of butts. I'm also the host for this episode. Joining me is the lady that is from now on gonna turn very slowly around the dark corners and look out for creepy clowns with red balloons. She's also Jauntly Jubilant Juggernaut of Joe.
Hello!
So yeah, is your house safe?
No!
No clowns there?
They're everywhere!
God damn it.
Honestly, I think I might be traumatised. Clowns are... I don't like clowns. They're wrong.
Welcome
They're
to
just wrong.
6-year-old me.
Yeah.
Oh man, that film. Anyway.
And this other voice is the man who is as cuddly as Capybara, but in human form. It's Dangerously Darling Diarmuid.
Hello there.
I might have fudged up your intro.
That's alright.
He's like one of those fighting capybaras, you know, who's like awesome and cuddly and great. But I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of you.
Well, the wrong side of me is underneath me. If I fall on top of you, you're screwed. I'm just saying.
I feel like, you know, if one of us was getting picked on by some horrible man in the street, I feel like you wouldn't, you know, you'd be all right at defending us, basically. As awfully sexist as that sounds.
Yes.
He is like a panda from Kung Fu Panda. Super cuddly. But
Kung
you
Fu
take his dumpling and whoa.
Also, I do attack with my belly first. How did you know? You must have seen me in my street fighting days.
What was the name of the bear in Street Fighter? Not in Street Fighter, in the other one.
Tekken.
Yeah.
Is it Kuma?
That's it, yeah, Kuma. Yeah.
I thought you meant Kung Fu Panda. I was like, Po?
Yeah. Oh no, I love Kung Fu
It's
Panda. I know
Po.
all the characters
It's
in that.
Po in that.
Yeah, Po. Oh, he's so cool. Love Po.
Yeah, before we go with the rest of the episode, a couple of things to get out of the way. A, Lauren is not dead. She is in fact alive. She should return after EGX happens, which should be next week. So hopefully, fingers crossed, she'll be there.
Yeah, EGX times. Ah.
Yeah, it's happening. Because we're going to be at EGX, we're not going to record Geek Speak because the time we record and edit, we're going to be in Birmingham and it's physically not possible.
We're going to be playing all the games, yo.
Yeah, we'll be doing a lot of important stuff. On the bright side, even though there won't be our extremely excellent podcast that you wait every week on the edge of your seat to listen. Yeah, made myself laugh there. Anyway, because that won't be there, but we're probably going to record a special BRB UK from EGX, so look out for that, fingers crossed. And obviously there's going to be a lot of EGX coverage on BigRedBarel, so this is going to be a busy place in the next week, so again, keep an eye out on that. And yeah, we're all gonna be there. Well, I'm gonna be there for all days. Dae, are you gonna be there for all days?
No, I'll be there the Thursday and the Friday.
Okay.
Like last year, you did. That's what you did last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see all the games, but I want to, manage my feet.
Oh yeah.
I do not want to go home crippled again.
No, we did do a lot of walking last time.
There's Common's favorite what is life moment from me is because before EGX last year, I bought new Converse shoes and I didn't walk them in. So the first day I walked my feet just bloody raw, and after the second day, on Friday I returned in the same shoes and in pain. And on Friday, after the end of EGX, I went outside the convention center with my feet just on fire and just raw bloody mess and screamed at the sky, what is life?
What is life? Yeah, nobody wants to be walking around EGX in new uncomfortable shoes. Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned now.
Yeah.
You're going to arrive in slippers now, aren't you?
Dress for comfort.
Yeah, well, that's what I had to do last time for Saturday and Sunday. I went to the shop and bought, like, black home slippers. Because that's the cheapest thing I could find, and walked the rest of EGX in comfy black slippers, and I don't know.
Or just head into Dreams, buy 2 pillows and just wrap them around your feet.
Yeah, I think that would be a bit more noticeable than my home slippers, but...
Little bit.
I'll take this for advisement, dear Mitt. Okay, let's get on with the time waster of the week. This week is a story that I was not actually aware that was happening, and I'm not sure how many other people, but Cassini, which is a flagship class unmanned robotic spacecraft that has departed Earth in 1997 to fly all the way to Saturn, today, unfortunately, has died. It has burned in Saturn atmosphere.
On purpose? It completed its mission? It was always meant to do that.
Yeah, and it extended, like, it was supposed to finish in, like, well, at first it got extended, I think it may have been until, like, 2006, and then it got extended to 2010, and then it got extended to 2017, so it's like, it's been doing some work. Cassini was being a busy bee.
Well, he's not got much else to do, to be fair.
Well, fair enough, but still.
Just floating around those rings, just looking at them.
Do.
So
measuring
pretty.
them and all
This
that kind of
is
stuff.
space. Do.
Kind of as a highlight, and this is a Twitter thread that I discovered today, and I had like the best morning coffee reading the Twitter thread of an astronomer, Jesse Rogerson, and he started it a couple of days ago, and he kind of, in the big series of tweets, like, there's like over 100 tweets, you guys, he documented the most exciting parts of the Cassini's journey and what he has discovered and the importance of those discoveries. Plus, Jesse is a crazy geek. There's so many amazing gifs and puns and jokes on that thread as well. It's an absolute delight to read, and you should really do yourself a service and go and check out that thread. The link to it will be in description for this episode, and read through it and look for just gorgeous pictures of space, look for Pokemon gifs and Pandora and alien jokes, and all around it is a really, really great thread. I don't know if you've guys seen it.
I'm looking at it right now, and it looks full of info.
It is. But it is info that is, you don't have to be a scientist to get it.
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely. It's just for simple, mere human beings like us who just enjoy looking at pretty things in space and need to be explained the very complicated things, and that thread does it. So it's really, really good in that way.
What was quite nice, one of the things I did see of the NASA coverage was that there's a lot of women that work at NASA. That was really nice to see. Like, in the control room, there were tons of women in there working with them, and I was like, yeah, cool, women in science. Awesome.
And I see we have a second Time Waster of the week.
Yeah, this was something I saw earlier today, actually, and I just thought it was quite amusing and fun, so I thought it might make a good time waster. They're not particularly short videos, but essentially there's this channel called the Drawfee channel. I'd not come across it before. They have to draw things that they're set challenges to draw things that they've not seen before. So in this particular video, they are told a specific Bloodborne boss, so like Murgo's wet nurse or the Living Failures, and they have to draw it based on their own imagination because they've not seen it before. So it's people that haven't played the game, like proper artists who haven't played it and stuff. And it was just really funny, like what they would come up with based on like the character name, and also the person setting the challenge would give them like a super brief synopsis from like the game lore, and it was just great, like to see what they came up with. So I just saw that earlier and thought it was quite amusing. Something for people to have a look at. Yeah,
I haven't watched it yet, but I was going to ask you, what were the kind of the parameters? What were they told? Were they just given the name, or?
Yeah, so what happened is like there's 4 people, 3 artists and 1 person who's like, the host, I guess. And he's the only one of them that had actually played the game and had seen what the bosses look like. The 3 artists had no idea what the bosses look like. And so they were kind of say, right, this is the boss you need to draw. It's Murgo's wet nurse. And then he would say, I'll give you a little bit of a hint as to what this character is. And so he would read out just like the official synopsis from software for the boss, which of course is probably not much help at all. So and they'd be like, what is this? And so it's just seeing what they come up with out of their own imagination based on the loosest of descriptions. It was really good fun.
Cool. I'm gonna have to watch that after this.
Before we go into the news, 2 things I wanted to say. Number 1, public service announcement. The season 2 of The Expanse is out on Netflix and you must watch it. It's the best sci-fi show on the air right now. And Joe doesn't like it. Joe is rarely wrong, but she's wrong in this case.
I'm not the only one who doesn't like it.
Whatever. I don't know these other people. And another public service announcement that I was going to say, and I forgot. Give me a second. I said 2, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What was the other one?
I don't know, but you better say something, because otherwise it's just a major anticlimax.
I swear your drawing thing got me on that train.
Was it something to do with Cassini?
No. Fuck me.
Nothing to do with Bloodborne or YouTube or drawing of things.
I don't know.
I mean, we're all telling people to immediately unsubscribe from PewDiePie, right? That's one of our public service announcements. Yeah, just, if everyone unsubscribes, then hopefully he'll go away.
Oh my god, what was the other thing? God damn it! Okay, you know what? There is the other thing. I bet it's gonna come up to me in the middle of the episode, for which I will stop and I will say what it is, but for now,
Awesome.
suspense! Anyway, news, guys!
News!
CEO Jeff Bezos wants Amazon to get its own Game of Thrones and has ordered big TV strategy shift.
Yeah.
Dun 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 dun.
I mean, this is hardly surprising, is it? I think every TV network boss in the world wants their own Game of Thrones because of the money. So,
all of the money.
See, here's the thing. They forget that Game of Thrones used to have a very small budget. And the reason it became famous, it was because it was lightning in the bottle.
Yeah, and it was a big risk. It was a big risk that HBO took with it.
The thing is, the D&D, we shortened them to D&D, the Game of Thrones people, I just bundled myself in with their group for no reason or without any kind of pedigree. Anyway, they had to reshoot their whole pilot episode because the first pilot episode that they shot was horrible. It didn't work. That's why if you very closely look to season 1, episode 1, Sean Bean's face inflates and deflates throughout the episode because some time has passed between some of the scenes that were filmed and then afterwards. So he changed a little bit, bless him. But yeah, it was a risk. It may have not worked. It was an original idea, and they're seemingly just chasing something that appeals to everyone, trying to appeal to everyone.
Yeah.
Which I'm not even sure Game of Thrones does. I mean, it became incredibly popular that people who were not be normally interested in that kind of thing ended up jumping on board. But I wouldn't say it immediately attracted a huge audience. I don't know.
No, I think it kind of, obviously a lot of people watched it at the beginning, but I think it only really hit its stride like 2 or 3 seasons in. And the problem is when something is as massively successful as this, everyone wants their own version of it. So you will get a lot of things crop up that are similar from other networks and stuff. But it's like you said, Game of Thrones is like one of those rare TV events that's like water cooler, lightning in a bottle type thing that everyone will talk about. I think the danger is that if everyone starts chasing after that kind of high-end TV, that we're going to lose a lot of really interesting smaller shows because everyone's chasing a big show, you know? So it's kind of... I can see why they want it, but...
Yeah, they already said that they've cancelled, under this new program, they've cancelled second season of the period drama Z equals the beginning of everything, which I have not watched, and I don't know what that is.
Never heard of it.
But it's just silly to me to cancel a show because, well, it doesn't qualify these things we think Game of Thrones is.
No.
So, goodbye. Not because, I can't really say anything about the show because I've never heard of it, I've not watched it, I don't know how well or not well it was doing, but it just seems that they've kind of went through their catalog and went, well, Grand Tour tick, American's God tick, Men in High Castle tick, and then put a bunch of crosses next to the things that only a selected group of people watch.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a lot of successful shows, like Mr. Robot was very successful and is coming back for another season. You've got things like Preacher that's pretty successful. I think Amazon are kind of doing okay on the TV front, but it's just everyone wants that massive super hit that everyone talks about on Twitter, and it's because it's a guaranteed money spinner. So yeah.
I think it's one of those cases where I don't mind companies, big ones, small ones, doesn't really matter, looking at something like Game of Thrones and trying to take lessons from it, but you have to really concentrate to take the right lessons.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, one of the things that Game of Thrones got right, in my opinion, was casting. That was one of the things in the first at least 2 seasons that was probably the best thing about the series, in that they got the casting right. And that was really important, and that laid the foundation for the relationships that we now have with the characters. But the next part was also just getting a really decent team behind it. Like the D&D, they're good writers. They're really good at adapting what they've gotten. And it's one of those cases where you just have to give money to the people who have talent, and you'll get some really good stuff out of it. You mentioned some shows like Men in the High Castle is really, really good. I really enjoy watching that. And there's other shows that they have as well that are really, really good. If they're just going in, pruning the tree just to kind of get rid of some stuff that just hasn't hit, fair enough, that's fine. I just hope it doesn't stop them from taking a few risks, because as we mentioned at the very start of this, Game of Thrones itself was a risk. Sometimes you just have to kind of gamble and hope for the best and kind of get behind something if you believe in it, and then hopefully the audience will come.
Well, here is a quote from Roy Price, who is the chief of Amazon Studios, and it says, "The biggest shows make the biggest difference around the world. If you have one of the top 5 or 10 shows in the marketplace, it means your show is more valuable because it drives conversation and it drives subscriptions. We're a mass market brand, we have a lot of video customers, and we need shows that move the needle at high level."
That sounds like they just want to they want to try and make the most popular show, not necessarily the best show.
Yeah, they just want money. And I think that statement, they're not even really hiding it. They're like, cash, please.
Yeah. Well, Amazon, they like money.
They do indeed. Not that I ever thought that they needed much. I thought they were swimming in it already, but
I'm sure they have plenty.
They have to pay for those drones somehow.
Yeah, there's never a ceiling on how much money you can get. You always want more, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so we went around on Twitter. Well, I went around on Twitter, and I've kind of asked people if they wanted to see some news in our news segment, and some people replied. And by the way, guys, you can do that anyway. Leave, tweet at us or leave the request in forums, and we'll put them. But obviously, the most requested news story is an update to the story we discussed last year about the musical chairs of Star Wars directors.
Yeah.
And it comes to, well, I guess no surprise, but J.J. Abrams is back for episode 9 of Star Wars.
I'm sad about this. JJ is fine, okay? JJ Abrams is fine. He'll do a solid job. The Force Awakens was pretty good, although it does have its issues. He'll do fine. But Colin Trevorrow would have been really cool, and I'm disappointed, really. Still, that, like we discussed before, that just come on, Star Wars peoples, take a risk.
This feels very much like the appointment of, what's his name that we were discussing last week?
Ron Howard?
Howard, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This feels
Super
safe.
Super safe.
As we mentioned with Ron Howard, he's a very good director. J.J. Abrams is a very good director, but I think everyone knows before we ever even know what episode 9 is about, they kind of know what we're going to get.
Lens flares. Lens
Exactly.
flares everywhere.
Also, probably a film that when we go into it, we'll enjoy it. It'll look cool. There'll be lots of visuals that are really nice. We'll be dazzled by said lens flares. But when we come out of it and we start thinking about the story for 2 seconds, it'll all kind of fall apart. That's what I'm expecting, based on the fact that Abrams is now in charge and he's co-writing it as well.
Yeah, well, it's JJ's signature style.
Exactly. It's one of those things, and that's fine. It clearly makes studios money, and I can understand why they went with JJ. But like Joe said, I'm a bit disappointed. I thought as we mentioned last week again, they're not going to flop. Maybe critically, but they're certainly not going to flop commercially. So that they have the ability, if they wanted to go out and really push the boat out in terms of trying to do something different, and I don't think they're just not.
Yeah.
Have you seen that picture, basically that titled Kathleen Kennedy to J.J. Abrams, and it's the shot of the very first scene from Rogue One, and it says, "The work has told, we need you back."
Oh yeah, I've seen that, yeah, very good. Yeah, the general.
I forget his name to my shame, he was a
Krennic.
good guy. Krennic,
That's
thank
it,
you
yeah,
very much.
yeah.
Krennic. The work has told, we need you back. Yeah, they need you back. I'm alright with the news. I agree with all the points you've made, but I'm relieved because I think they could have went with someone even more snooze-festier than JJ. And at least JJ, when he brought the Star Wars back, he brought back practical effects and what so on, and there's a lot of things. He did new Star Wars, but it still made them feel like Star Wars evolved. So he did a lot of things right as well, and he was the first one, and I just can't imagine how much pressure that was on him. And I think going back, I'd like him to take some risks now that he's been there, done that, and there's a little bit of less pressure to mess up Star Wars like he did the first time. I don't think he's gonna do that necessarily, but at least, as like you said, I know what I'm getting, and at least I know that episode 9 is in good hands, but it is a bit boring.
Yeah, it's, as we said, obviously not entirely for yourself, Alex, but it is disappointing, but at the same time, it's better than it could have been. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah,
could have been
definitely.
a lot worse.
I don't remember if it was said as a joke in all seriousness, but I was listening to the Empire podcast, and Chris Hewitt was like, well, you know who they should bring back? They should bring back George Lucas.
Oh, God, no.
I was drinking at the time.
No.
And that something got stuck in my throat.
I thought you were going to say you did a spit take and just your entire screen was taken over by juice or whatever you're drinking.
I mean, spit take is fine. I almost suffocated myself with that drink. I think that was even more serious. But yeah, I was like, no.
Yeah, no.
That man is done.
He should have been done 20 years ago.
Keep him out of my Star Wars.
Anyway.
Okay, so the second batch of news was requested by Calvin, obviously. And it's some Overwatch news! Third
bit
batch,
of news.
right. So Overwatch, guys.
Yeah, we're getting an update. I think it's this Tuesday we get it.
Ooh, nice.
Mercy 2.0.
I hear you had some strong feelings about Mercy 2.0, but you came around.
Yes, my feelings have flip-flopped on this quite a bit. Like, at first I was like, no! Because, you know, she's my main, she's my bae, I love her. And I was like, but she's gonna feel different and weird and
Just to summarize before you go, so what they're doing to Mercy is that obviously one of her most powerful abilities was that she could bring the whole team back together.
Yes, Team Resurrect, yeah.
She can't do that anymore. She has her Resurrect. It's not her ultimate ability. It's her other ability that is on a cooldown, and she can bring one person at the time. Her ultimate ability is now called Valkyrie, and she can fly. Her gun has a thing, just has ammo. It doesn't need reloading.
Yeah, and Resurrect is on a 10-second cooldown.
10-second cooldown, and when she heals or buffs someone, they kind of ricochet of other people and collect all of your teammates together, so it's a much more powerful ability.
It's on like a beam. Yeah, I mean, what's quite nice is, like, obviously at first with this I was kind of like, oh god, you know, it's because I was already kind of feeling a bit sort of lackluster about Overwatch, and I was like, well, if they're going to change Mercy, I'm kind of done with it. But then I watched some gameplay and heard from some, like, pro Mercy players, like, listen to what they thought, and it seems like they've changed her actually, like, obviously not specifically for me, that would be hilarious, but they've changed her actually in a way that will suit my playstyle more than current Mercy does, because I've never been one for kind of like hiding with my res. I don't like doing that. I like to kind of be in the fight and healing my team and boosting my team and stuff. When you've got res, you feel like you have to hide, because if you die with it, your team are like, fuck's sake, man, why'd you die? You've got res. Not you guys, obviously, but randoms.
Yeah, we definitely never said that. Never, not
like,
once.
Calvin will be like, res, and I'm like, I'm dead. And he's like, ah.
Hey, yesterday I got shouted at, and I was like, and they were like, Mercy, res. I'm like, do you see the screen? Do you see that I do not have my res? I cannot res you even if I'm there. And I was like, come on,
I mean, that's like the standard thing with Mercy players is your team, you know, if they don't know you, they're going to expect you to always have res, always res everyone, always be healing everyone all at the same time. You're like, guys, I've only got one pair of hands, come on.
Just one staff, one magical staff, people.
Yeah, I've only got one Caduceus staff, give me a break.
You see, this is what I'm looking forward to. What I'm looking forward to is Joe playing as the new Mercy, right? And this is the image I have in my head. There's a game going on, Joe's Mercy, she has her res ability, has the cooldown has gone, and she has it back. And suddenly, in front of her, a Genji is killed. And Joe runs over to the Genji and just stands there and waits until he respawns back in the spawn room. That's what I picture.
I'm sorry, Genji, I'd used my res. I didn't have it. Oh no. No, I would never do such a terrible thing.
At least now you can selectively res, so you know who you can ignore.
Yeah, and I won't miss anyone. This is the thing, like, sometimes what can happen with res is someone can be just outside of your your area of effectiveness, and I'll miss them, and Cameron will be like, I didn't get brought back, and I'll be like, I'm sorry, I resed everyone, but you were out of the way.
Do you know what? I think Calvin is just the luckiest person to never get resed.
Yeah.
Because either he's always outside my range, or I res, and he dies that second, and he's like, but I just died! I'm like, well...
That's hilarious when I do that sometimes, where I'll res everyone, and he'll be like, oh, and I'm dead. I think it's because he plays flankers a lot, like McCree and stuff, is he's kind of out from the rest of the team a lot of the time.
You haven't played in a while with him.
Yeah.
He plays Soldier now.
Oh, he plays Soldier. I thought he was going to become a Hanzo main. I'm glad that's not happening.
He's still a Hanzo main.
No. Stop it. Stop it right now. No. Calvin, play McCree. You're a great McCree. That'll do.
Okay, so changes to DVA as well. So her defense matrix is not going to last as long, but will recharge slightly faster. And she also has this missile things. This is my takeaway from all their changes in the characters and why I initially went, really, did you have to do that? It seems like they keep making them more offensive.
This is the thing with Diva, it looks like the reason they've done this, obviously, like reducing her defense matrix, is because they want her to go and get herself into trouble more. You know, they want her to kind of shoot into the enemy team and become a bit of a mobile assassin sort of thing, which is fine. Like, that sounds pretty cool and awesome.
But they already did that to Roadhog as well. So Roadhog can do pretty... I mean, he can't fly like Divi does, but he because now he can heal while he walks as well.
Yeah.
He's really tough to kill because he's just like... He's like his big, fat, beautiful pig, but he can also heal himself all the time. So he's a complete bullet sponge that's impossible to kill.
But he's quite useful as an ultimate sponge. You know, he's quite useful for charging ultimates if you just want to cause damage, you know, if your ultimate charges from damage.
But you're also charging him if you're doing that as well.
And he's quite good with the team in terms of, like, if people... Like, the way the new Hog plays is he needs to be with the team more, and that's great, really, because I always hated Roadhog before, where he'd just go off on his own and not really contribute to the team, but would just be roaming around just trying to one-shot people for kills. And it just felt really crap, like when people on your team would play him like that, and people on the enemy team. I mean, as a Mercy main, he was the bane of my life, because I'd go around a corner and a Hog would be there and I'd be dead immediately. So I think the changes for Hog are good, and he seems like a good change, but I'm not sure about Diva yet. I think we need to see her played a bit more when it goes live and stuff. But
well, you mentioned the fact that Diva's reducing the defense matrix and so on. I think what you made the point that they're kind of making her more offensive. I think what they're also doing is stopping people from, because we basically have Orisa and Reinhardt as the shields.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people tended to do was make Diva like a third shield, basically.
Yes.
So what we used to do it when we were playing. So if I was Reinhardt and the shield was gone down, then either yourself or whoever was playing Diva would jump in front, put up defense matrix, and that was almost enough time for the shield to recharge. And it kind of made a lot of people very defensive kind of players. Yeah. This could be a good thing. It could kind of force people a more attacking play. Maybe that's going to be better all round. But again, we're going to kind of have to wait and see what happens when it goes live and see what changes take place.
I mean, I absolutely agree. I think decreasing the time for her defense matrix is absolutely key, because I've started playing a lot of Pharah, and Diva is just the bane of my existence because she is impossible to damage, because she just puts her defense matrix in my face and there's not much I can do. By the time I shoot the bullets at her and then reload, she gets the defense matrix back, and she's really tough to kill.
Yeah, you've become a Pharah main now, right?
Well, I'm trying to become a Pharah main. It's still impossible. I don't know if we have time for my little Mercy rant, but maybe I'll do it someday.
Pharah's hard to play, I think. Like, hard to play really well.
Oh, I'm not excellent. I have my good days and my bad days. Most of the time I'm average.
But no, I'm super psyched for the new Mercy, actually. I really want to try her out. I think she's going to suit me really well in terms of how I like to play. And yeah, she's just, anything that kind of makes Mercy more involved with the team and more exciting. I mean, have you seen how fast she moves when she has Valkyrie? It's super cool. Like, she's just shooting all over the place. It's going to be really good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think from what I've heard, it's this Tuesday it's going to go live. So
okay, is the Junkertown map also going?
Oh yes, yeah, definitely.
So that's a new map. So if anyone's seen the little Junkrat cartoon thing, it's worth seeing. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
and it basically shows you about the map, and there's lots of other playthroughs and videos that show you the map as well, so there's not much to talk about. It's a new payload map, which I prefer payload maps to all the other maps, so I'm really excited.
Definitely.
And today or yesterday, I can't remember, they released another developer update, and they talked about the new punishment system.
Oh yeah, I saw this. It was yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, so the punishment system was a bit of So it was on PC all this time, but it wasn't really working, and it wasn't on consoles until very, very recently, and it's still a bit dubious if anyone's getting punished by people actually reporting people, and then something happens after they click that report button. That developer update, if you play Overwatch, is really worth checking it out and listening to it, and they explain that, yes, there have been punishments and bans that resulted from people reporting other people in the game. They are working on a system, and I'm actually really looking forward to that one, where the system will actually send you an email, or even ideally send you in-game notification when your report action resulted in Blizzard performing an action against that person. That is quite good, at least you're not reporting in a vacuum that something is being done. Having said that, I think just use that report button when you need to, guys. If you're playing Overwatch, I've been reporting even people that left the opposing team because I absolutely hate livers. Yeah. And if those livers helps me win, I don't appreciate that because they might end up on my team next time round. And so as soon as I see someone leaving my team, as soon as I see someone leave an opponent's team, I report almost instantly. And other things people don't realize, like, don't be stupid on comms, don't be vengeful by picking characters that don't matter, or doing blah 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 in spawn. Just be considerate of your teammates, and I have all the high hopes that the report system will actually work semi-properly now. And yeah, I just say, just use that report button. Don't think, oh, nothing's gonna happen. Just use it. But don't use it without reason. Don't be like, oh, I don't like that player's playing Hanzo. He's definitely trolling. I'm gonna push the report button. Like, there has to be a reason why you're reporting them, not just because I don't like them or they're stupid or whatever.
With great power comes great responsibility.
That's right. Okay, so we're done with Overwatch, hopefully for another month or so.
Yeah.
We promise.
Until next week when I've been playing New Mercy and I'll be like, oh
yeah, we'll probably have to talk about that. Okay, my promise does not withstand. Okay, and the last story of the day, we're going to have to run out through it quite quickly because we took a bit of a long time getting through the news. But this has been news that was kind of unfolding. So they've been announcing a lot of casting for the Hellboy reboot. And Ed Skrein of the Deadpool fame, and also the other Dario Naharis in Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah! Gosh, yeah. I forgot that.
He looks really weird with hair.
Yeah.
Really weird.
Yeah, he was. I much prefer the other one. I forget his name, but he was much better looking anyway. Anyway, he was originally cast in Hellboy as Major Ben Damio? I'm sorry, I don't know Hellboy, so I'm totally butchering this name, and I apologize for that. When they cast him, either he didn't realize at the time, or the whole internet controversy kind of spiked his reaction, but he basically the character is Asian American, whereas Ed Skrein is not. And so he resigned, basically said, okay, I'm not going to do that because I want to support that, and
Yeah, definitely to his credit.
Absolutely. He did a very good move. Even studio supported him afterwards, which I find a little bit dubious. They were like, uh-oh. I want to believe they had the best intentions with their statement and supporting him, but it was almost like saying something against him would not look favorably on them, so what else are they going to say?
Like, whatever their own opinions on it, they had to go along with, because that was obviously the general opinion. And absolutely right. I mean, he shouldn't have been cast in the first place, but, what's really good about this is that he's used his position of power to highlight the issue, and it's resulted in a better result in terms of the casting. So hopefully more studios will follow suit.
Yeah, so the update to the story is that Dae Kim of Lost in Hawaii 5-0 fame he's been in talks, and now I think he's confirmed to get the role. So yeah, it's turned out okay. And wasn't this whole stupid thing where going on around the internet that Asians can't do emotions?
That's ridiculous. What a load of nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, people say some stupid things sometimes, don't they? I mean, bloody hell.
Mm-hmm. It was, I think, like, this kind of whole topic of whitewashing kind of came to a head recently with Ghost in the Shell, with Scarlett Johansson in it. I don't know if you guys have actually seen the film.
Yeah, I've seen it, and
no.
For my sufferance.
They do some kind of a job. I don't know what you would call it, but they do some kind of a job to explain why she looks the way she does in the film. That sort of addresses this, but it doesn't really cover it. But like this particular role wouldn't have had the same excuse. And it, like, obviously respect to Ed for making that decision kind of, obviously, like, as we were talking, that maybe the studio didn't really support him, like, behind closed doors, which means that this is even more of a risk for him for future projects that they might want to cast. If they see his name, they might think...
I mean, I do kind of feel like, though, that he made the only choice that he really could have, because if he'd gone ahead and done the role, then he'd have been caught up in another whole whitewashing thing, and that could have been detrimental to his career and his fan base. So really, he did the best thing.
Personally, I agree with the decision, but I don't think it would have come down on him. Like, he could have just done the role and it'd just be another job. That's fine. That's his job.
Yeah.
If you want to talk casting, talk to the director, casting director, studio, blah, blah, blah. He could have just played the role and it would have been... I don't think anyone would have really pointed their fingers at him.
I don't know. I mean, do you not feel that Scarlett Johansson's image suffered after ghosting
Not really.
the show?
I mean, everyone pretty much assumed the only reason she was cast is because she's a really big name.
Yeah.
And that's why they got her on board.
Yeah,
I don't think her image or publicity was hit by that. I do think that the studio were the ones who were being attacked for it.
Yeah.
Which, again, that's fair enough. But like, I don't think necessarily people were kind of pointing their fingers at her, kind of going, you shouldn't be doing this. It would be like the decision was made higher than her. So that's who they were kind of pointing at. And I think it would have been the same case in this. But I do think that he made the right choice. Perhaps Scarlett could have made a similar choice. But again, as I said, in that film, they sort of explain it in the script, which is... Anyway,
such
doesn't matter.
a nonsense.
Yeah, exactly.
That film's rubbish.
By the way, Dae, I think it's the channel that you recommended. Was it Nerdwriter?
Yes.
So I saw a video that they did this week about Ghost in Shell, and it's absolutely beautiful, and I'll leave in the links in the description below, and everyone should check it out because it's a really thoughtful analysis of that movie and how they basically it's like a thing we've been talking about for weeks. They saw the manga, they were like, oh, that's popular, let's make it, but let's not understand why it has been popular. And it just explains it very well, and I've really enjoyed watching it.
I'm still bummed about that film. I mean, what an opportunity. I mean, that manga and that anime are absolutely incredible, and like the whole series of anime is, it's not it has peaks and troughs from what I've been told. But, the whole idea and the world and the concept is so great, and then to just stuff it up like that in the movie, it's just depressing. Oh. And
before we leave the Hellboy story, I just wanted to bring up that they've released the first publicity shots from the film.
He looks good.
And there's an image that was released for Hellboy himself, who's played by...
David Harbour, that's
the one. From Stranger Things more recently. He looks incredible in the role.
Yeah, it looks really good.
The makeup looks incredible. What I really like is the fact that it looks so much like Guillermo's original, which obviously, that's good as well, because it kind of makes you realize just how much Guillermo nailed it as well.
Yeah.
The look. So I was just happy to see that as well. But he just looks good as the character. So you can't really judge the quality of the film based on an image, as we talked about with the Tomb Raider one before as well. But it's encouraging seeing that, So if you do want to have a look at it, Google it. It's a really good image. It just shows the character and a kind of a black background, and he just looks really, really good. Really good.
Well, there you go. That's everything for the news. As I said, guys, we welcome if you have any news topics for us to cover. Tweet at us, message us. We will try to include this in the show. Okay, now going to the topics. So my first topics, I just wanted briefly to talk about Last Day of June. I spoke about it before when I was doing a preview, and I've done a review of this game, which is up on BigRedBarel.com. It is 4 out of 5. A pretty great game. It was so close to 5. It just didn't quite reach it because of the two little elements. As a reminder, Last Day of June, it is a story about Carl and his wife June, and June dies in a car crash, and Carl learns that through her paintings he can travel back in time and rewind the events of the time through their various neighbors who kind of around the village and try to save her is basically what he's trying to do. So in essence, it's a little puzzle game where you relieve the certain period of time in each character's shoes, and you see the events that unfolded, and you try to change them. And every time you travel back in time, you can kind of do little minute changes. So, and a lot of the stuff, it's as one character, you can get through that fence and open the gate from the other side, and when you rewind back time and start as another character, you can now go to this new area that you opened as a character before, which is really good. So the puzzles, so that's kind of the puzzle element of it, and the puzzles are not terribly complicated. Like, it's the level of puzzles that I enjoy, and I really hate puzzles, and I really enjoyed playing this game. I mean, the more important thing to notice about the game, it is really, like, it's a roller coaster of emotions, because the characters are, like, creepy adorable. One of the animators from Tim Burton's Frankenweenie helps on the design, and they're this little characters that don't have eyes, but have eye sockets, and they also don't speak. They make little adorable, nonsensical sounds, and all of them have so much personality. Like, they have their different walk, the way they do things, the way they interact with each other, and while you kind of focus mainly on Carl and June, you can also learn stories of the other village characters, and there's 4 of them. There's a little boy, the best friend, the hunter, and the old man, and I guess there's also a dog, but you don't get to play as a dog. The dog is just there to be all goofy and stuff. But yeah, the story is really good. The ending of that game is so well done. Guys, I cried. I did actually cry at the end of the game. Because it's so touching. The only 2 downsides, and one of them I kind of mentioned, I think if you like puzzles, this game will not be puzzly enough for you. And the second one is that you rewind time a lot. And in most cases, the game does a very good job of not making you redo stuff. So for example, if you solved one puzzle and then you had to rewind back time, do something as another character, and then return to the character you've done the puzzle with, the game won't make you redo the whole puzzle over again. It will just automatically jump you to the point where you need to begin doing new stuff. So if you're solving everything just fine, it's a really smooth progression. However, if for some reason you're stuck on something and you don't know how to do something, there's not an easy way to jump from one character to another. You kind of almost have to finish the sequence. You have to finish their day. And after that, you get the little cinematic of kind of the outcome. And so the outcome always shows the car crash. And if you're doing that all over again, you kind of get the car, like a couple, I don't know, maybe a minute, maybe less of the car crash scene happening over and over again. It just shows, like, when I got stuck on something, this was the time when I took out my phone and looked at Twitter. And it's really not good for that kind of emotional game, because it obviously makes me stop caring about their death. It makes me distracted, and kind of all the emotional tension that was in the game is a little bit lost. So that's where it falls a little bit flat for me, but otherwise I can't recommend to play this game enough. I think, Joe, you will actually absolutely enjoy it.
Yeah, I saw that it had come out and I was like, oh yeah, I need to get on that. So what's it on? Is it just PC or is it on anything else?
It's on PS4.
Ah, it is, cool. Nice.
Yeah. I would say it would take you maybe 3 hours.
Oh,
3 hours tops.
Nice. Yeah,
it's not big. It's absolutely not big, and you can pretty much do it in one sitting. I think I did it in 2 sittings. So
cool.
it's really worth your time.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, we might actually play it for cookies and booze, because we need a break a little bit from Mass Effect Andromeda.
I can imagine.
if you saw the last stream, I think we abandoned the story and we just Coleman jumped in the street and on the stream, and we were just doing stupid impressions and not really paying attention to what we were doing. So I think we might need a break, and we might play the last day of June. So if anyone's curious about the story but doesn't necessarily want to play it, we'll stream through it, basically. Okay, so that's me. Now let's get to clowns.
Oh god, clowns. Yeah, clowns. So I went to see it.
Why?
Yeah. I'd actually, in spite of my terrible fear of clowns, because they're wrong. Clowns are horrible and wrong, and anyone who says otherwise is just crazy.
They're not funny.
They're wrong. There's something really weird and off about clowns. But anyway, I'd been looking forward to this film for a long time, actually, because of the director, because of the tone that they looked to be taking, and just because the general film, as it was coming together, looked to be really, really promising. And obviously, I'm a teenager of the 90s, so I remember the Tim Curry TV miniseries with great fondness. And so I was kind of looking forward to this. I knew I'd be scared because I don't like clowns. They really creep me out. So I knew that it would make me uncomfortable and it would freak me out. I didn't expect to enjoy it so much in terms of the whole experience, and I didn't actually quite expect to be as terrified as I was. it's ever so well done. The director is a guy called Andy Muschietti, who some people might remember did a film called Mama, which was produced by Guillermo del Toro. And again, really nice, good film. And this, he's kind of taken on some of the things that he obviously picked up when he was making Mama, but he's progressed so far and kind of really honed his style. And the film is just, it's one of the best Stephen King adaptations I think I've ever seen. It's just, the performances are all great. So you've got like this wonderful dynamic with the kids. Because obviously the way these films are, so the film that's out right now is like part one. So they're just covering the kids aspect of the story. And then they've already greenlit a sequel that's going to cover the adults part of the story. Because I don't know if you know the book, where it's a massive book and it's kind of kids and adults and stuff. And the kids are all great. Like the performances are all fantastic. They really gel together as a unit. Like you believe that they're friends and you believe that they're all kind of in it together and looking out for one another. And it's kind of got that awesome Stranger Things vibe kind of thing. What it kind of reminded me a lot of in terms of tone were films like The Goonies and Poltergeist and Stand By Me, that kind of, classic horror adventure type film where, all the kids are coming together to defeat an enemy. And, you've got that, sort of comedy horror type thing. Bloody hell, crikey. It's so much scarier than you would expect a film like that to be. Like, some of the creepy things that go on, like there's some scenes where there's just little subtle, scary things happening in the background, and I'd just be bloody bricking it, like, and, the super famous opening scene of the book with little Georgie going and encountering Pennywise the clown in the drain. Absolutely terrifying. And it's just, I'm really impressed with this film. I think they've captured the novel really well. It's scary without being too much in terms of like gore and all that nasty stuff. It's got a wonderful adventure feel to it. The kids are all great. It's a really, really good film. If you like horror films, or even if you don't, like, I can't really recommend it enough. It's a great film to see at the cinema, and kind of, there's those sort of films you get at the cinema where you get like a group dynamic sort of thing. It's the kind of film that really benefits from seeing it with a bunch of people in a cinema where everyone's kind of reacting to it. And what was quite telling is, when we went to see it, it was packed out, the cinema, and it was full of like younger people, like teenagers, early 20s. And so my first thought, based on past experience, was like, oh my god, these guys are going to be on their phones all the time, or they're going to be talking. But there was none of that.
No, it's the old people now.
Yeah,
I only shout at old people in the cinema. Seriously, I need to complain about this. Last time we went to see Valerian, there was a couple that sat behind us, and it spoke throughout, like, it wasn't the phone. So they basically came in the cinema to shop on their phone and discuss their shopping purchases with each other. And I'm like, guys, you are over 50.
Oh,
you should know manners.
Well, yeah, this was what was lovely about it, is like there was none of that. Nobody was on their phones. Everyone was completely enthralled in the movie, and there were certain moments where everyone was like gasping at the same time, and like people being like, oh my god, freaking out. And I mean, one special mention is for Bill Skarsgård, who plays Pennywise.
Is he one of the many offsprings of the Skarsgård
He is,
family?
yeah. He's part of the Skarsgård dynasty. Apparently there's 8 of them. There's like 8 kids.
God.
4 of them are actors. I don't know. But yeah, so his big brother is Alexander Skarsgård, who was obviously Eric in True Blood.
Stellan Skarsgård, you the man.
Stellan Skarsgård, yeah. He's definitely produced some fine specimens. So he's a fantastic actor in his own right, and obviously his sons that are currently actors are doing pretty well as well. But Bill Skarsgård is great. He has this wonderful mannerism with how he portrays Pennywise. Like, it would be very easy for him to just kind of put on the costume and just try and do Tim Curry Mark II, but he doesn't. He completely does his own thing with it, and in a way I found it scarier than Tim Curry, because he just feels so much more sinister and otherworldly and kind of just really off all the time. And some of that is down to his performance, which is amazing, and he has like this theatrical kind of very physical, like a physicality to him. Like there's one particular shot where he kind of unfolds himself out of a wardrobe, and I swear to God, I was absolutely bricking it, because it's just the way he does it is so intense and scary, and I was just like, oh, there's a clown coming out of the wardrobe, and oh my God, it's so horrible and wrong. So he's just perfect, and he does ever so well, and the way his voice, like the way he delivers the lines, just really, really good, really, really creepy. But also the way they design the makeup and the actual prosthetics and the design of Pennywise is really clever. Like, he's always seems just a little bit off. You know, like, because obviously if you're familiar with the book, Pennywise the clown is just like a manifestation of the creature, right? And obviously what it does is it presents itself as whatever its intended victim fears the most. So it's, you know, there's a few different things it manifests as in the film. I won't spoil anything, because obviously it's the kind of film you want to experience not knowing everything that's going to happen,
or not at all.
But you know, there's
just putting it out there.
There's a few other manifestations that it does that are really sinister and creepy and horrible. But yeah, with the clown, it's like it always feels like it's something wearing a clown skin, and it doesn't fit quite right, and it's all a bit wrong and just a bit off kilter, and it's ever so good. Yeah, so really, if you like a good horror movie, if you like things like Stranger Things, The Goonies and stuff, definitely go and see this. It's one of those, and I'm really chuffed that it's made a ton of money and been really successful, because obviously that means the sequel will definitely happen, and yeah, hopefully it bodes well for other sort of horror films kind of like this in the future. So yeah, it's very good. Go see it.
That was going to be my question, actually, just because you mentioned it at the end there, the sequel.
Yeah.
For me, the book falls down when it gets to the adults. It's not nearly as good, and that same thing happens in the 1990 miniseries or whatever. The adults part is just a bloody mess. It just doesn't work at all. Are you confident, or relatively confident, that he'll be able to make that work?
Yeah, I am, because not just because I have faith in the director and the team based on what they've done so far, but also because what they've already said is going to happen is they're going to have the adult story, but it will have flashbacks to the kids as well.
Okay, good.
So it's not like we've said goodbye to them altogether. They're still going to have a part to play in the sequel. And you know what? Based on what they've done so far, I'm really, really excited for the sequel. And, you know, I feel like the studio should just give Machete and his sister, who's the producer, just give them free reign. Just say, yeah, go at it, do what you're going to do, hire who you're going to hire. Like, there's some awesome casting rumours I've seen already, like people like Amy Adams and Jessica Chastain who may be involved, and that would be awesome. So yeah, I'm optimistic. I think it will be really good, but only time will tell, I guess. But for now, at least, we've got a really, really good part one that you should go and see and enjoy.
Just as an aside, just when you mentioned his name, I pictured Danny Trejo in the director chair.
Oh.
Weird aside, I'll say no more. That's it.
Did I didn't say Danny Trejo, did I?
No, you said Machete.
Machete.
And I was
of course. Well, his name is like Muschietti. It's like Musch something. So, brilliant. Let's not let him direct any films. That'd be bad.
Hey, it could be good.
Yeah.
You never know.
Here's a conundrum, because we're going from the movie that is by all accounts excellent, that I will never watch, to the movie that is questionable in quality, but I'm tempted to watch. What is going on with the world?
Well, it certainly won't scare the crap out of you, I'll say that much.
Okay, that's already promising.
So yeah, I watched The Dark Tower recently, and
can I just repeat? Why?
Yeah, we're on a bit of a Stephen King binge, obviously. So yeah, this is an adaptation of The Dark Tower, King's fantasy series that, you know, is one of his most popular, certainly. Before seeing the film, all I had read was the first book. I hadn't read any of the others. I kind of fell off at the first book, I'll be quite honest, because I didn't think it was very good. But apparently the series gets much better from there, and I really should have stuck with it, but I didn't. Anyway, Anyway, when they announced this film was being made, and it's been kind of going through like a development hell for ages, there was this whole, they're going to make the film, and then they're going to make a TV series that ties into it that kind of fills the gap between that and the next film, or with different characters. And there was this whole thing, and it was going for years. And eventually they signed the deal and they got the people on board. So this film stars Idris Elba as Roland Deschain. He's the last gunslinger in this fantasy world called Midworld. His entire mission is to get revenge on the person who killed his father, who is the Man in Black, otherwise known as Walter, otherwise known as Matthew McConaughey. All right. And both of them, the actors are brilliant. Very good actors. In this, they are... It's not that the actors aren't very good, it's just that they're not like the... This film is about as well written as that first book is. Which is not very, at least in my opinion. It just doesn't work. You don't really find out who Roland is. You don't find out what Walter really wants. The character who we are kind of led into the film by, Jake, is a kind of a vessel for us. So obviously he in the film he doesn't really have too much of his own character. He's sort of meant to kind of introduce us into this fantasy world, and we're meant to kind of go along with him. But we like the actor who plays Jake, I think his name is Tom Taylor. He does a good job. He's really good as the character, and you kind of get the, not depression that he's in, but there's this kind of glumness to him because he recently lost his father. So like himself and Roland have this camaraderie because of that. Basically, the story is Jake has what's known as the Shine. It's kind of something that actually appears throughout King's novels. Exactly. And it basically, it means Jake is almost telepathic. He can see across worlds, and that's how he's able to see images of Roland and of Walter. And he draws regularly, and like his entire bedroom is covered in images that he's seen and then, put to paper. And the film kind of kicks off from there, where he's being taken to a psychiatrist to kind of find out what's going on with him, especially a year after his father's death, and find out if he's okay. And he tells his psychiatrist about these images that he's seeing, and obviously he's told they're not real. And then, of course, he realizes they are. He starts getting attacked in the real world, or our world, not real world, by minions of Walter who want to get Jake because he's quite powerful, and he wants to use him to destroy the titular Dark Tower. Again, other than knowing that Walter wants to destroy this thing, we don't really know anything else about him or what he really wants, which kind of makes the whole thing pointless, because we don't really care who wins. We don't know. All we know is if the tower is destroyed, the world ends, which is always one of those kind of calamity things that don't really make sense. So it doesn't really make sense in this. Obviously, this is explored a lot more in the books, and you kind of get to know the characters a lot more. But it doesn't really work in this first film, or what you would think would be this first film. Based on everything that happens, though, it's one of those things where I really do think the source material kind of should have informed the film more, because what they do is they try to Hollywood it. They change a few things that are actually really quite important to the series. They change a few things, and I don't want to spoil it in case you haven't read the book or you want to go and see this film. But there's basically, the way it ends is like the antithesis of what should happen and what would lead the rest of the films on. Basically, it looks like the decision that they made with how this film ends kind of is almost a red flag to say we're probably not going to be doing sequels. You know what I mean? It's one of those cases where it feels like it's a cop-out. And it kind of, I suppose if you went into this without having read the books, you mightn't be quite as upset about this change. But for me, it kind of completely changes the character of Roland, and it means that if they were to go on to sequels, it would, like, the character would be completely different to what they were. Because what happened, again, I'll end up talking about spoilers if I continue, but I'll just say that it shouldn't have ended the way it did. The way it ended in the book was definitely better, and it kind of informs the rest of the series of books. The film, I don't think is very good. As I said, the acting is fine from all of the main leads, and all of the supporting characters are quite good as well. The supporting characters include Jackie Earle Haley. Who,
right.
I really like him. He's a really good actor.
Yeah.
It also includes Fran Krantz, another actor I really like. You might know him from Cabin in the Woods as the stoner. So there's very good actors throughout this, and it's directed competently, but the action is actually quite interesting, because I don't think you've seen many action films where the main character has a six-shooter outside of maybe westerns, but even then they're not quite as high octane as these action scenes, and it means that they do some different things, which is quite interesting to watch. You've probably seen most of the interesting things in the trailers if you watch them, but it's quite good at doing action stuff, but the story itself is a bit plodding. The pace is a bit all over the place in the start and middle, and then it just kind of accelerates to an end that I don't think is earned.
So would you kind of say really the biggest problem with it is the script?
Yes. Yeah. It's disappointing. It could have been a lot better. That we don't get to know any of the characters at all.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it does sound very disappointing. I remember seeing the trailer with lovely Idris Elba and just being quite excited and thinking, oh yeah, that could be quite good. And yeah, it just seems to have missed the mark entirely, which is a bit of a shame.
It's very disappointing. It's one of those cases where, there was a few scenes in it from the book that they really nailed. And it's one of those things that makes the film more disappointing, because you realise that if it was scripted correctly, I honestly do think this director, I don't really know any of his work. He's fairly new. I think his name is Nicolas Arcel. Yeah, I don't know anything about him. But his work, I think he's Danish. And he's done just a few films. One of them is A Royal Affair. That's probably his most famous one other than this.
Okay, yeah.
So anyway, so he's done some decent work. And this film, as I said, there are moments in it that he captures really well. And it's just disappointing that the rest of it just doesn't hold together at all. Overall, yeah, I wouldn't advise this. I mean, I know, Alex, you were saying you were tempted to see this.
Not in the cinema.
Well, yeah. If it's on Netflix, give it a watch. It's one of those kind of movies that will pass time, but it's certainly not something that I would seek out personally.
Okay, well, there you go. Not entirely unexpected, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so we have a return of a segment-ish. So our friend Coop suggested a name for this. So if you remember several episodes back, I did a random recount of Resident Evil movies, and people seem to enjoy them enough. And based on that, friend Coops said that we should name this segment Resident Rants. So, since then, I promised to do the Resident Rants of Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I think the last one is just become available, so I've not seen it yet, so that is not quite ready. Plus, I don't know, I've rewatched them for the Resident Rants, and I just the later ones, I just can't quite stomach, but maybe I'll manage to do it. But I got quite a different series for the Resident Rants this time round. So last week, very randomly, I had a feeling that I don't think many people have in their life. I sat to myself and thought, I want to rewatch Van Helsing.
God, why?
I don't know. In rewatching Van Helsing, I realized two things. I still have the hots for Dracula. That ponytail is hot, you people. And the accents are much worse than I remember.
Yeah.
And following the watching Van Helsing, I got another sudden urge that I don't think many people have. I wanted to rewatch the Underworld series.
Oh, dear God.
So there you go, guys. I rewatched the Underworld series, and now you're about to rewatch it with me. Now, obviously, spoilers ahead, because I will go through the story of the Underworld series.
Hooray!
But I would say that even if you know the plot of every movie, that's not going to add or subtract anything from those movies, so I think you're good to go. Okay, so let's see if, I'm one trick pony, and maybe this is not going to work out as well as it did with the Resident Evil movies, but whatever.
Let's
see how this goes. So welcome to the Underworld series, where Kate Beckinsale is hot and wears the same lacquer black shiny outfit for all 4 movies.
She is very shiny.
It is, and I mean, I know she's supposed to be dead, although that is kind of questionable, but you gotta wash your clothes sometimes, okay? Anyway, Kate plays Celine, a vampire death dealer who hunts and kills lycans, who are rebels. Because Lycans kill your family. While chasing Lycans, she finds out the Lycans are chasing this dude called Michael Corvin, who Celine is imprinting as if she's in Twilight, and there is no apparent reason why they fall in love, but they fall in love, okay? So she discovered the Lycans are organized by this guy called Lucian, who is played by Michael Sheen. And fun fact, Kate Beckinsale was in cahoots with Len Wiseman, the director, while Michael Sheen was her baby daddy, and they all got just fine. So eat that, Hollywood. Anyway, moving on. So, the Lycans have a plan. They want to kill the elder vampires. Plus, while we discover this plan, we also get a shot of Lycan pubic hair, and I still don't know why, but we got it. It's there. I guess the R rating or whatever. Anyway, back to killing. So they kill the elder, one of the elders, called Amelia, and that's kind of important to remember for later. But even despite that, no one believes Celine's that Lycans are back in force. So she awakens another vampire elder figure, who is almost like a father figure to her, called Victor, played by Bill Nighy. Can I just say, the first time I watched this movie and I realized that Bill Nighy wasn't actually a vampire, I was so goddamn disappointed.
I'm quite glad that you're calling him Bill Nighy. I quite enjoy that.
Bill Nighy?
Bill Nighy, yeah. But let's call him Bill Nighy forever.
Okay, he's Bill Nighy the
I quite
vampire.
like that.
Anyway, turns out vampires and Lycans all come from the same dude called Alex Corvinus. He had 3 offsprings, one bitten by a bat, one bitten by a wolf, and one had some brains and managed not to get bitten at all and stayed human. Michael, yeah, that one Celine has hots for no apparent reason whatsoever, is a human descendant and therefore is special. Anyway, they make Michael a vampire-werewolf hybrid, sorta kinda important for later. Celine finds out that it was actually Bill Nighy the vampire who, plot twist, killed her family and kills Bill Nighy the vampire. Don't be upset though, because Bill Nighy will be back. Oh, also Michael Sheen dies. Anyway, credits roll. Moving on, Underworld evolution. Flashback to the horsey and swordy days. Bill Nighy the vampire, Amelia, yeah, that one that is sort of going to be important later, and Marcus are fighting Lycans. They capture William, who is Marcus's brother and the first Lycan. And now we turn to the present day, which I don't know where it is, what country, what age, they never freaking explain anything. But anyway, Celine and Michael are on the run. Marcus, who is the last vampire elder, he awakens and chases them about a lot. And Marcus, he has wings, yo. Celine and Michael discover that Marcus is the first vampire and that he plans to free his imprisoned brother William, who is the first and most savage werewolf. Apparently, plot twist! Celine's parents were building a cage for William, and after Bill Nighy the vampire killed them, she's the only one who knows where that cage is.
But why? I don't even know why I'm asking.
Don't question it!
Just accept it. Just accept.
Yeah, just accept it. It's how it is.
So, Celine and Michael visit this dude, Alexander Corvinus. Remember, he's the important immortal dude.
Oh, yeah.
Fathered. So, he is the Marcus's and William's daddy, and he is also Michael's daddy. I might have forgotten a couple of grands there, but never mind. But while they're doing all this talky-talk, Marcus gets to them, he kills Michael, he kills his daddy, he drinks Celine's blood, for which he gets her memories and finds out where William is. Celine drinks Alexis Corvinus' blood and becomes Super Celine that can walk in daylight.
Ooh.
Celine and Batch of Red Shorts go to where William is, and where Marcus is as well. Marcus awakens William, and William is this big fucking wolf. There's fighting happening, blah blah blah. Celine is losing, the Red Shirts are dead, but then, plot twist! Michael is alive because he's a hybrid vampire werewolf,
Of course, yes.
And there's more fighting, and Marcus and William die. Oh, and also it's kind of important for later to remember that Celine and Michael bone, and that scene was supposed to be more R-rated than it actually was, and I'm kind of disappointed.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah, they get proper naked.
Mm-hmm.
Blimey.
Wasn't that film directed by her husband?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh,
whatever you're into.
They got some weird fetishes going on there.
Okay. Now we're going to Underworld, Rise of Lycans, which is actually a prequel. And it's a prequel about Michael Sheen.
Oh yes, because this is when Kate Beckinsale was saying, I don't want to do any more Underworld movies right now.
Well, Michael Sheen wasn't saying that. He died in the first movie, and apparently he got upset. That's his whole story, where he was in love with this vampire called Sonia, who was the daughter of the Bill Nighy, the vampire. She got preggers, and Bill Nighy was not unhappy. So I think he burned her alive while Michael Sheen watched. I will be completely honest.
Rational.
I fell asleep 2 evenings in a row watching this movie, so I kind of gave up. And my only takeaway from the movie is that Michael Sheen had a six-pack, and also I'm sure there were some plot twists.
Probably. I think I've seen it a long time ago. plot twists.
I mean, that actor that was playing Sonia, she is gorgeous. Those cheekbones.
Yeah.
Prime vampire territory. Okay. Go to Underworld Awakening. Humans finally discover that vampires and lycans exist. About effing time, I say.
Okay, Beckinsale is back.
But Michael is not, or at least a different dude plays Michael. Anyway, they get captured. But then, many years later, Celine awakens and escapes the facility where she has been held. She keeps getting this weird visions of someone, and she thinks it's visions from Michael.
Oh.
Then there are some detective dudes chasing after her. It's a little bit confusing. But there's also a guy, and that's the same actor who played Four in a Divergent movie. So I don't actually remember his real name from the Underworld series, and I'm actually gonna call him Four, so And he's chasing after her. And they discover that the visions that she has are actually coming from a hybrid girl who, plot twist, turns out to be Selena's Michael's daughter.
What?
Raised her whole life in the captivity of the facility.
But
and
what?
being studied.
How did she not know that she'd had a daughter?
She was asleep while that happened.
But what? Surely she'd wake up and be like, there's something different.
Logic has no place in Underworld movies. Take your dirty logic out of my Underworld. Anyway, and plus, you know what? I have so many questions about how vampires and lycans are produced. I mean, I guess the vampires in this series are not actually dead. They're just infected by some virus. I don't know. Anyway, Celine and Four drag the girl, who is very unimaginatively named Eve, to the vampire covenant to which Four belongs, where Four's daddy, who is played by Charles Dance, you all!
Charles Dance!
Yep. Exactly. So then, lycans attack, and there is one really, really big lycan. They take the girl, Four dies, but then Celine brings him back alive because she's got her, remember her super blood that Alex Corvinus gave to her?
Oh,
yes.
yes.
So she brings him alive.
Oh.
Okay, Celine leaves to get her daughter back. She's held by one of the detective dudes from earlier who we forgot. Apparently he has some sad story that no one cares about. They go to facility and find out that, plot twist, this facility has been run by lycans all this time. They've been feeding on blood of Celine's daughter to become big-ass motherfucking lycans. The fight ensues, lycans die, everyone dramatically walks onto the helipad on top of the roof while some explosions happen. Credit roll.
Nice.
And now we go to Underworld Blood Wars, which is, by the way, I have no idea how I have missed that there is an Underworld movie in 2016, but apparently that happened, and I don't really know who I am anymore because I always watch those movies.
Is this the one? Yeah. So is Blood Wars the most recent one?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the last one, guys. We're almost to the end.
No, I'm just sure I'd heard of it. And yeah, it's because it came out like last year.
Yeah, apparently I've been told it was released like to counter the Resident Evil movies, which is telling. Anyway, Selena's on the run from both lycans and vampires. Her daughter is nowhere to be seen because apparently everyone's her blood, so she's hiding. Samira, she's a vampire from the Eastern Vampire Clan. Who knows where that East is? I don't know which countries they're in.
The Eastern Vampire Clan.
I don't know.
Brilliant.
It's Eastern Vampire Clan. Anyway, she calls in Charles Dance and says that she needs Celine to train more dev dealers so they can kill lycans, because the lycans are now super duper powerful because they have a new leader called Marius, played by Tobias Menzies. And by the way, Tobias, why? I mean, I know Edmure Tully is pretty much non-existent in Game of Thrones now and you need to eat, but still, why?
Yeah, I don't really see him as like a big werewolf leader type thing. That's interesting casting.
Also, while Samira and Charles Dance talk, they casually walk next to the portrait of Amelia. Yeah, remember her briefly from the first and the second movie? Why? 'Cause foreshadowing. then we get the scene that I loved. We get a scene between Charles Dance's vampire, whose name I don't remember, he's just Charles Dance the vampire, and Cassius, who is the lead of the council of that clan, played by James Faulkner. And guys, at this point, I jumped on bed and screamed, Randall Tarly and Tywin Lannister! And Tywin Lannister has to answer to Randall Tarly! My favorite moment by far. Anyway, plot twist! Turns out Samira wanted to kill Celine all this time and drink her blood to become more powerful. Celine is attacked, Four and Charles Dance help her escape, Charles Dance gets killed. We're all sad. Samira sends some other trusty vampire called Alexia after Celine and Four. We found out that Alexia has been shagging Marius all this time and planning Samira's demise because plot twist. Anyway, Celine and Four arrive to this Nordic clan somewhere, okay, where plot twist, Four finds out that that this dead elder Amelia is his mummy, and he was supposed to inherit the Eastern Vampire clan, which please someone explain me the rules of this universe, cause what? The vampire from Northern Clan, who I will call the Bad Wig Lady, tells Celine about crazy rituals to the other worlds. Then Lycans around, they fight, Marius kills Celine. Okay, we return to Eastern Clan, where Lycans are preparing... Dead. Yes, Celine's dead. Keep up. What? We return to Eastern Clan, where Lycans are preparing to attack. We find out that plot twist that Samira knew that Alexia betrayed her all this time. R.I.P. Alexia. 4 returns as Amelia as his mummy. Lycans get in, the fight ensues, vampires are losing as Lycans are shooting through the walls and letting the silent in. Then, there is a shadow end. Plot twist! Celine is not dead, she's come to save them! She was resurrected! Do you know how we know she was resurrected? Because she's now got bleach hair ends and swanky furs.
Oh,
and you know what? I've got questions, because I have bleach hair, and I also have a fake fur hat, so does that mean I'm resurrected now too? I mean, does it mean I now can wear tight lycra outfits? Is that a thing?
I'm sure Tim wouldn't say no.
Anyway, Marius is killed. Samira is killed. We get the free second shot of Celine meeting her daughter Eve in the eyes because set up for the next movie. That's why. Credits roll.
Oh, good lord. So many questions.
Give it to me.
Why? Why?
Good news, Joe. You're going to find out because they're making a 6th film.
I'm sure they are.
I have the first 2 on DVD, and yes, they're pretty ropey, but I
love them.
They're fairly entertaining, but I think I watched the prequel and kind of was just like, oh, these movies are dreadful, and just kind of stopped. And I don't think I've seen any of the others. I don't think I've seen the last 2. So, I don't... why?
Because Kate Beckinsale is hot?
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that.
And you know what? I can happily spend another 2 hours watching her walk in tight outfit.
Yeah, I might have to rewatch them. Maybe I should watch the whole series, just,
This disease, it spreads. It has now reached you.
I mean, it's bloody ludicrous. I do like films with vampires in; they're quite fun. But yeah, you reminded me that the special Lycan hunter vampires. They call them the Death Dealers, don't they?
Yep.
That's just the dumbest name. If you want to name your assassin something cool, oh yeah, they're the Death Dealers. Oh, shut up.
But you know what I've noticed? I started writing this plot twist gag because in the first couple of movies they were just really ridiculous and I thought it's funny. By the time I got to the last movie, there is a plot twist every 2 minutes. And I was like, what the hell is going on?
So what's the next series for the Resident Rants season? Is it going to be Pirates of the Caribbean?
I mean, probably, but
I can't wait.
I mean, I started watching the 4th movie and I got so bored.
Yeah.
The one with Penelope Cruz, I just got so bored.
Yeah. Oh, that was the last one apart from the most recent one, which is the worst. So you're nearly there.
I just have to watch the worst of them all.
Yeah, you just have to watch the worst.
I'm sure it will be fine.
Yeah. You have my sympathy.
Okay, guys, this is the end of our episode. It's been a bit long, but you're not getting one next week, so I think this is good.
Yeah.
So we need to say thank you to a couple of people. Joe, would you like to do the forums?
I certainly can. So on the forums, we'd like to say a big thank you and hello to The Q, Stealthy Joe, Stingo, and Frozen454, who says, just wanted to say it's nice to see my Scandroid recommendation in the Spotify playlist. Oh yeah, actually, it was already in my other playlist. I'd just forgotten it was in there. So when they recommended it before, and I was like, have I heard of that? Not sure. And then, yeah, it was already in my playlist. So I was like, oh, cool, that can go in the Geek Speak playlist. So yes, so it's in there. But yeah, it was excellent recommendation. If you've not listened to the Spotify playlist already, please do get involved. It's on it's BigRedBarel Geek Speak on Spotify. It's a collaborative playlist. There are some rules which are on the playlist, so you can see one of the rules is absolutely no Nickelback anytime whatsoever, and none of that.
So the link to the playlist is in the description for every episode. So we have the section that's called Usual Links, and that's the top one. And a lot of people ask me, can we add songs? Hell yes, absolutely add songs to the playlist.
I am the
admin, what it's for.
So I will be judging. But yeah, really the absolute only cast iron thing that I will never allow in that playlist is Nickelback, because they're just an abomination. But anything else is pretty much fair game.
Yeah, and another thing I want to quickly add about the forums is that I know it's a bit cumbersome getting there and chatting, but we have had such great discussions on the forums, especially on our Game of Thrones spoiler cast. There's been, like, I guess, kind of Stealthy Joe and Stinger were holding a flag in that regard. But there's just some interesting points raised on that thread, and I kind of don't want to bring them up because we've done spoiler cast and we don't want to, like, kind of gate the podcast and say, oh, now we discuss additional spoiler information. But I would really recommend going there and participating in discussion because it's been going strong and very, like, some very, very interesting points on there. Okay, Diarmuid, would you like to say hello to people on Twitter?
Indeed. So thanks for writing in and all that. To Will Driver at WillDriver93, Richard Kirk at Richard Kirk, James Sterling Wilson at James_S Wilson.
I like how you ignored his Twitter name.
Well, yeah, James, yes, that one. I mean, I always thought it was Jim Sterling, but guess not.
Proved you wrong.
Exactly. In that case, we'll move on to our good friend Julia at Lady_Jeanette, Calvin at Cloudstyle Gamer, our friend Josh, who is not called Josh, his name is Bleezy, at Bleezy Boy, who complains about our choices.
It's because you all play Warlock, and he's like, what? But Warlock is a fine choice.
Warlock is dope. It's our choice. You know, we're allowed to choose that thing. It's all cool. And I'm almost ready to raid. Almost.
He's been suggesting we talk more about Destiny this episode, but I think we just ran out of time.
And I'm going to raid, and after that I'll talk about it more. Gabriel Romo at SleeperHit79 and Matt at _M317, who asks, are we team sticker or team no sticker, and why?
I mean, I don't have an Xbox, so I guess I don't qualify to answer this question.
Yeah,
I didn't even know what this was until we discussed it earlier, and then I googled. And if I had an Xbox, which will never happen, I would take that sticker off immediately. It is an eyesore. Right on the. Why would you put it right on the front of the console like this? Massive.
If you didn't know, Jo bleeds blue. She bleeds blue.
Yeah, you know.
And that's not. It's not because she's royalty. Just in case.
Sony pony, 100%.
I wouldn't mind, but like the sticker on the original one was kind of down to the bottom left. It was fine. It was just over there. It was still a bit of an eyesore, but it was down over there. What I don't like is the new Xbox, the Xbox One X.
Yeah.
It's coming in a Project Scorpio edition. That is basically just a regular Xbox One X, but it has Project Scorpio written on it, and I think it's numbered particularly as well.
Yeah.
Because it's a limited edition. But the sticker is right over the bloody Project Scorpio logo.
Honestly,
why would you put it there?
Who makes these decisions?
I would also be team no sticker, definitely.
So, on YouTube, we want to say thank you to Sarah Fanduma, who commented on our Defenders, or rather on the episode where we discussed Defenders, and they said, I think Danny actually backslid, Madame Gao, Sawande, and Alexander Reed held the show. Jessica is not that all. I'm actually tempted to agree. I mean, I still love Jessica, and she was highlight for me out of all the 4 Defenders, but the hand was probably one of the most interesting things about Defenders for me, personally.
I still haven't watched any more of it. I give up. I couldn't be bothered. You know, after all that we talked about it and stuff, 2 episodes was enough. I'm done.
Can I spoil you off show? I'll tell you something that will not make you want to watch it even more.
I'm not going to watch it. There's too much else good stuff to watch and do. I can't be bothered. So, yeah.
And actually, we got a review on iTunes. It might have been an update to a previous review, but from SOG True Believer, which is 5 stars, and he said that we're lovely ladies geeking out, and thank you very much for that. Now, I will also mention that Tabletop Tuesday is still, in fact, happens on a Tuesday, and is a Tuesday, and we have a board game night at the Loading Bar in Dalston, London, and every week we bring a feature game. And if you play that game on the night, you get entered in a prize draw to win a copy of that day by 10:30 that evening. So next week, we're having a little bit of the Wordsy game week, and we're going to have Bananagrams and Word Slam. Bananagrams is going to be a feature game, so there's going to be 2 copies of that going around. If you haven't seen it, it's worth checking out. It's kind of like a Scrabble-like game, but it comes in the banana-shaped case. It's really adorable. And so one copy of that will be available to give away. And Word Slam is just going to be another game, which I played it. It's really chaotic. And it's actually, I don't like word games, and Word Slam I could tolerate, which is a huge praise for a game, because I really, really don't like word games. Okay, so another reminder, Cookies and Booze are happening. I think I said that, mentioned that before, so we're gonna still continue with the streams. 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. on Sunday. Just check out on Twitter. On my Twitter, I usually post on the day when that's gonna happen. Might not be Mass Effect Andromeda, might be last day of June. I'll keep you posted. Regardless, the videos of those go on to BigRedBarel TV YouTube page, so you can always catch up with our playthroughs. And speaking of that, our podcast also comes in the YouTube format, so you can catch us there. And other things, speaking of Destiny, there is Big Red Barrel Destiny Clan. Dae, if you could send me a link to it so I could put it in description for the episode, that'd be ace. You can get in touch with us on BigRedBarel.com, on the forums or on the show threads for the episode. You can also chat to us on Facebook, facebook.com/BigRedBarel. There is also a Gamer Nights group that you can join to play lovely multiplayer games with our lovely community. You can also talk to us on Twitter at BigRedBarel is the main account. #Geek Speak helps us to find your tweets. You can also speak to us directly. I'm at DustyTulip_.
I'm at Pixel Ritual.
I'm at Diarmuid_S.
So YouTube and all the other stuff I talked about. You know, if you guys wanna give us a shout, if you're coming to EGX and you want to give us a shout, tweet at us. We'll probably tweet in the day what we are and what we're doing. Absolutely love to meet up. Fans that listen to the show, met, even last year, I met a couple of you. You were absolutely lovely. So again, I'm gonna say love, for the 1,000th time in this sentence, but it's true, to see you all there and hang out and chat and enjoy all the awesome VG games. Now I'm especially excited because I know Detroit is gonna be there.
Yeah,
apparently.
Detroit. Woo!
Yeah. Anyway, for episode 106 of Big Red Barrel Geek Speak, I have been Butts.
I've been glancing over my shoulder, imagining there's a clown there.
I've been seeing a dark tower and not caring.
And we bid you goodbye. Bye.
Bye.
Butts.
You and your ears are quite welcome.
For the podcasting goodness that you just heard.
Why not roll on over
To BigRedBarel.com
for more podcasts,
news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet. BigRedBarel.com.